Get another example on applications or solving a right triangle. Guys, in this case, there's two pieces of information that are provided to me. One is the value for measure of angle A is 35 degrees and the length of side B is 40. And guys, it also tells me that it is right angled at measure of angle C is 90 degrees. So this triangle is right angled at C. Right? So first thing that I'm going to do is, before I start finding out what are the missing sides or missing angles, guys, I'm going to start by actually drawing this triangle, and this triangle is triangle ABC. So this is how my triangle is, triangle ABC, and this is right angle at C. So this is C, this is, let me call this as A and this as B. Guys, side B is known, this is side B, 40. I don't know the length of this, but this is lowercase a, and then guys, this is my hypotenuse, lowercase c. I don't know the value for that. Do I know anything else? Yes, I do know the value for the measure of angle A, so we're going to fill that in, and then we are going to find out what are the missing pieces. So guys, there are three missing pieces. We want to figure out measure of angle B. Guys, you can already see that given this information, once we actually have a visual in front of us or we draw a right triangle, then it becomes very clear to us what is given and what is really missing, what we have to figure out. So from here I can see that I have to find out the measure of angle B, which is not going to be too difficult, and then I have to find the length of A and the length of side C. One of them, C is going to be the hypotenuse, and then we'll see how to figure out the length of A and C both. Okay, guys, let us do the easiest thing first. Measure of angle B. We know that this is 90 degrees, and we know some of these two is supposed to be 90 as well, so we can easily figure out the measure of angle B. Guys, my goal here is to show you many different types of these examples where one has to solve in a right triangle. So I showed you one example in my previous video. This is slightly different, so I'll keep on showing you many different types. In this case, to find the measure of angle B, which simply have to do is that 35 plus measure of angle B is just 90 degrees. We know that, and from this equation, just by subtracting 35 from both sides, we can figure out the measure of angle B, which is going to be 90 minus 35, and that is going to be 55. Let me make sure that's what I have here. Why have I? Okay, that's 55. That's what I have here. Okay, so we started by finding the value for the B first. Guys, now this is how I started this problem. You can figure out something else before you start figuring out the measure of angle B. But for me, I could see that it's the easiest thing to do here to find that third missing angle. And guys, I would suggest first finding the missing angles if it is possible. Like in this case, it was possible to find out the missing angle, and from there we can figure out what to use, what trig functions to use to find the missing sides. We know for a fact that we need to use trig functions or trig ratios to find the missing sides. So this is done. This is 55 degrees. We just figured it out. And then from here, again, it's up to you which side you want to figure out first. Here, what I have done is I tried to figure out the value for A. So to find the value for A, guys, what I'm going to look at is, hey, to find the value for A, I got to use this side as well, because this is not known to me. The hypotenuse is not known to me. So what is known to me is if I think about this angle as my reference angle, again, guys, you're free to use this or this as a reference angle. But let us say I take this, I consider this to be my reference angle, then this is my opposite and this is my adjacent. I want to find the value for opposite, and adjacent is known. Hey, what is a trig ratio or trig function that relates opposite with adjacent? Don't think too hard, guys. If you have already this in front of you, you can just look at it and you can quickly see that the tangent is that trig function or ratio which relates opposite with adjacent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write tangent of 35 degrees equals to opposite, which is A, over the adjacent 40. And I have to solve for A. Guys, to solve for A, what we have to do is we have to kind of think of an invisible 1 downstairs here, and then you just simply cross multiply. A times 1 is A, and this is 40 times tangent of 35. I'm going to use my calculator for that. 40 times tangent of 35 degrees. Keep in mind, this is in degree. If your calculator is not in the degree mode by default, then guys, first you have to change it to a degree mode, and then you type in 40 times tangent of 35. And what do I get? I get 28. So I have the length of the side, 28. This is 28. Guys, now I have to find the length of the hypotenuse. Again, one can use the Pythagorean theorem, this square plus this square, and take the square root. Or what I used here. Guys, I have used the trig ratio. It's up to you what you want to do. So I'm going to show you using the trig ratio. So for the trig ratio, again, I thought of this as my reference angle. I could have used this as my reference angle as well because I already know this side, okay? So guys, it's up to you which ratios you want to work with, which angles you want to choose as the reference angles. I have used 35, so I'm going to use sine of 35. Again, you could have used cosine of 35. You would have still got the same answer that I'm going to get using the sine. So sine of 35, we know sine is the opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 28. I already know that. We figured this out in the previous step. Divided by the hypotenuse, which is C here. And we have to figure out the value for C. Okay? Guys, I'm going to have, I like to actually write that invisible 1. Now we can cross multiply like this. Right? So cross multiply, guys, please watch this step carefully. So when you cross multiply, what do I get? I get C times sine of 35, C times sine of 35 equals to 1 times 28, right? That is what a cross multiplication means. You just multiply across. But C is a variable, so I cannot really multiply it with the sine 35. All I have to do is I can just write it out that it's C times the sine of 35, which equals to 1 times 28. 1 times 28 is just 28. Keep in mind, our goal is to solve for C. To find C by itself, we want to get rid of the sine 35. Sine 35 is multiplied. So how can we get rid of that sine 35? Guys, we have to divide both sides by sine 35. It's like this. If I have C times 2 equals to 4, how do you find C by itself? You divide both sides by 4. So if this 2 crosses out, you get finally C equals to 2, or whatever is on the right hand side, depending on whatever is on the right hand side. So that's exactly what you're going to do with this equation right here as well. You got to divide both sides by sine of 35, because this and this will cross out. You will be left with only C, and that's what we are trying to figure out, the value for C. On the right hand side, it's going to be 28 divided by sine of 35 degrees. Again, I use my calculator for that, and I get C is equivalent to 48.8. If you want, you can round it to 49. It's up to you. And it also depends on if you, in the textbook, the final answer, how does the final answer look like? Okay, no big deal if you round it to 49, okay? So guys, this is how we, so did we figure out all the missing pieces? Yes, we have the A, we have the C, we have the missing angle B. So guys, we have all the 3 things that were missing here, okay? This is example 2. I'm going to see you next time with many more examples. Till then, take care, keep practicing, okay?